Well, and I mean, I guess there's a bit of, you know, you come in and you think you know what you're going to do, but you come in and you hear what somebody else is doing, and it's playing off of what, you know, in a different way off of what you were hearing. And
yeah.
So, Paul, you came into the band most recently, and you've had the Painted Saints project and you play a bunch of instruments. And how is this project? I mean, how coming into this? What was that whole thing like when you came in? And was it like, oh, Paul, you play clarinet, and you know? I guess my question. I'll make it a real question, but do you ever bring in non-clarinet ideas, and or is it just clarinet for you?
It's mostly been clarinet, just because I mean, I do play guitar, but I'm not nearly as good as these guys, so it doesn't really seem like it's that, you know.
He's really good at guitar.
So, you know, I don't know. But we just started, I mean, this is pretty much when I came into it. I think the first show I did with you guys was sort of an emergency sort of thing. We played the Southern, and Denise couldn't make it, or had quit, or whatever the story was. So they basically had some charts, which, of course, the charts are never right, by the way. They give me, I listened to recording, and what they'd written out was not what's on the recording, because the forms are completely, I mean, I don't think you can really tell, but
he's got a problem with our forms.
They don't make sense. They don't. I mean, they're not. I mean, when you write it that way, like, I'm sure Painted Saint songs don't make sense either. But it's different, you know. When you come in and you try to figure out the logic of it, because I'm not much of a clarinet player. I quit playing for a number of years.
He's a very talented clarinet. He's probably the best in this whole city.
Well, I quit playing for 3 years, and then when I came back into town, I had a jazz gig, so I got used to, like, you know, and I'd never studied that kind of music, but I was on the spot doing it every Friday night. So I got used to doing these like 32-bar forms where the guys would say, you know, we're going to do this and chorus head, blah, 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 where it's really super easy form just because that's how you can follow it. And with these guys, the forms are really odd. Like Uncle Roland, a song on the record.
Yeah, inquisitive.
Yeah, I mean, the inquisitive Uncle Roland. But I mean, every time the melody is stated, it's slightly different.
He's talking about Nick's songs. Yeah. Nick wrote that one. The songs I write, it's symmetry, you know, everything is.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at. I mean, but they have these, the arrangements aren't like, you know, a standard form. I mean, it just goes in one, and then suddenly you're into the next form, and it doesn't, you know, and it's kind of whatever it is. It works brilliantly, but it's not like based on a set pattern.
I think it's all of our, and Paul is a phenomenal clarinet player.
I agree.
Like, he's seriously awesome. Like mind-blowing, and he's got improv chops that are just incredible. Like, we knew from the first rehearsal that, you know, we'd keep him around if he'd stay. Yeah, I think it comes from, we all have like crazy influences, like the ones like I talked about tonight. Like, if you bring all those in, and a lot of the acoustic music I listen to doesn't start where it, you know, doesn't finish where it starts. It's, you know, it's like new acoustic or progressive. It's prog acoustic, if you will. Because like they're mixing like jazz and classical and chamber music and all these forms, and, you know, the stuff Nick, you know, was influenced by, and the stuff Paul brings to it, and the stuff Ethan brings to it. We constantly throw that into every song. So, and we really don't care or have any goal to, you know, make them work as songs. I mean, it's instrumental music. We basically have no rules. So if the song ends somewhere different than where it starts, we're totally fine with that. We don't feel it necessary to come back,
right,
you know, to the beginning. I sometimes do. Nick always likes to end somewhere else.
Why is it, Nick?
That's kind of your thing.
Is it a conscious decision, or does it just happen that way? I mean, is it just the way that it's just music? I mean, how do you determine that when you're figuring out a progression?
I don't know. I didn't know that I liked to do it, but I do remember learning that term in school. Maybe that's a problem. I went to school. It's usually a problem with musicians. You go to school and you get all messed up. But, and I'll take full blame on myself for putting myself through that. But I think I like that through composed thing, and I think that's a challenge if you can write a song, or for me it's a challenge. I'm not saying it's better, but if you can write a song and end where you didn't start, but it feels like a good ending. And then if you were to go back to the beginning, it would sound like a terrible ending to do the beginning again. But I love simple songs, and someday, hopefully I'll be able to write it one, but, or like, not like simple songs, you know, like just good songs where you don't have to try, but I try too hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
The goal is not to try, yeah.
Not to try.